Hello everybody, what we're going to be doing today real quick is we're going to be testing the new gear. There is deflection and parry gear, and I'm going to build a set, or a set of each I should say, and test it out just to see how it goes. But on top of doing that, my friends, I also have an announcement to make for you, which is that I am taking over the Infinity Cup. That is right. My buddy here, Chillfly Elite, unfortunately his internet, I guess, is pooping out on him, and he had to move apartments. He's renting like 2 apartments at the same time. It's a whole crazy deal just to try to like get his internet working, because he, quit his job to do, I almost said RuneScape full time, but YouTube full time. And because of that, he needs someone to fill in for him. So if you guys are seeing me doing videos on the Infinity Cup and wondering why the suddenly Darth Microtransaction is in it, it's because I'm holding the reins for our boy Brad. Now, getting straight into what the video is about today. If you look here, I'm in Arena. And what I've been working on is I've been working on the new gear. So there's the deflection and parry gear. And I'll tell you what, let me show you real quick. We'll go champions here. If I show you what I've been working on, I'm going to go to my Mountain King. And where is he here? There he is. So check out this Mountain King, right? What I put on him is just some like decent gear with the deflection. It's not 100% crit, it's 80%, almost 240%. Crit damage, pretty good. The debuff resistance is 453, and he has almost 70,000 health. The speed is quite terrible because we have a flat stat here in order just to get crit rate as well as the set bonus. But we did get crit damage gloves, and both the helmet has tons of crit damage here, and we got resistance, attack, and speed. And crit rate, HP, all those kind of things that are good for Mountain King. And of course, this one is booked. The other one's not built yet, but the other one's going to get my Swift Parry set, and we'll do double Mountain King in Arena and see how that goes. For now, though, we're going to be able to test out just this one. And I think the way I want to test it here is we're just going to throw it in by himself real quick, because I want to see exactly what the deflection gear does. So they go first. There it is, Resurgence. He resisted everything. I didn't see it going back or anything like that. I didn't see it being deflected. I'm wondering if he resists it, if he still has a chance to deflect it back, or if he has to receive the buff in order to reflect it back. That's what we're trying to do here. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about in terms of reflecting it back, what I'm going to show you here is let me show you how the gear set actually works and why we're using it. If we use the Mountain King here, where is he? Let me take a look. So what the gear set does is HP 20%, defense 20%, and 25% chance to deflect 1 debuff onto attacker. Now, I don't know if you have to receive it or not, because what I did is I put high resistance on him. So if he resists everything, is he not going to be able to reflect it? That's pretty critical for us to know first, because if that's so, maybe the gear we want to put on him is not actually deflection gear, and instead what we would want, see, it gets resisted there. One got resisted, but the other one didn't. It would have said double resisted if the defense down got resisted too. So it does in fact have to land in order for it to go back. So resistance is kind of a bummer, because if you go resistance, you're not going to be reflecting back your debuffs. But then if they do land one, you have a chance to get it back. Kind of interesting. So let's leave it with that gear on. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do a little bit of arena battle unedited, because people have been asking me, DM, you did a couple of these unedited arena battles, and people really enjoy doing them. And I was laying in bed last night doing the platinum grind. I can make platinum now these days because I got higher speed. I'm at like 322 now on my CF instead of 314, and the extra 8 is actually a big enough jump to help a lot in the defense, so I can win some of my battles on defense and not fall quite as quickly. Now that I can do that, it's probably a good time to start focusing a little bit more on arena and talking about a little bit more, showing you guys the gear, etc. And now that I can go into platinum and remain there fairly reliably, I feel like, although I'll fall out, but I can get back in fairly. Everyone falls out because you fall on defense unless you have such an insane amount of speed or something that people just can't beat you. Like there's some teams I straight up cannot beat. There's this one guy's team which was nuts. It was what was the leader here? It was Arbiter, Skullcrown, Sinesha, Lanicus, and when he charged, he would clear my entire team. The Lanicus would just charge in on my Rotos. It would kill the Rotos, and then the double AoE from Skullcrown Sinesha would kill everyone too. It was a pretty insane team. So after seeing that one, I realized, maybe it would be a lot of fun to kind of work on some of these crazy teams, because I have such a wide roster at the moment. I can do a pretty good amount of things in Arena, and now that I'm starting to get some of the platinum rewards, I can slowly start building these sets. And I almost have a Swift parry set built, so what I think I might want to do is put Swift parry on Rhodos so he gets unkillable himself. Could be kind of interesting. Now, my Swift parry set's not that good, if we're being honest. The stats are worse than my deflection set that I have on Mountain King. And I'm kind of curious, I kind of want to put the deflection set on Sifi, because you know what this could do if you put deflection is the people that have Hegemon and go first, and see, there we go, we got them. And if the people that have Hegemon and go first can block out my Sifi, and when they do block out the Sifi, I can lose because I don't get the defense up, and then we just have to sit there and auto because he gets the block cooldowns move up. So having reflection on her might be a way to do it. Unfortunately, Sifi needs to be really fast, right? She has the highest base speed. So for that reason, I don't really have fast gear yet. The fastest gear I have like 6 speed on most of my pieces here. My Mountain King's only got plus 60. And for that reason, it's probably not the time to be putting that gear on her. But instead, I think Mountain King's a pretty good base to test it on. He has pretty high resistance though, so we might need to move the gear around, test on people that don't have high resistance, and see if really that extra little bit helps. The other thing that could be kind of interesting is putting the deflection gear on Arbiter. And the reason I say that is because Sifi's going to go first, and you don't necessarily want to put the fastest gear on her, but having deflection on Arbiter for like I was saying with the Hegemon where they go first, or if they have some kind of move, that's going to stop you from doing your thing, or let's say what's her name? Like your Sifi gets killed right off the bat or something, you might have a chance there of the Arbiter reflecting those on. Plus, if there is some kind of AoE, let's say like Harvest Jack AoE with his A3 or some kind of True Fear or something, and he deflects that back, could be kind of interesting too. So there's other ways you could do that. Now I'm kind of curious if when you reflect it back, if it always reflects the same cooldown. Like if they were going to increase it by Master Hexer, right? And it was going to be a 3 cooldown poison. Is it going to reflect a 3 down cool poison, or would I need Master Hexer as well? Does it count as my buff being reflected? Things like this, I'm not quite sure. It would be nice to see, like if that was a 3 turn there, right? If we got a 3 turn cooldown, with the reflection, then we'll get that answer to that. But I don't think it would. I think it probably reflects whatever the base move is. I would assume it just applies that move back to it minus the damage or something. We'll have to see. It's always, you never really know with the way they code. A lot of people have been using Stagnite. We were having a conversation today in one of the content creator chats about how good Stagnite is. And if you didn't know, Stagnite is a very solid epic, and you probably want to build him. And he's one of the characters I haven't really talked that much about yet, to be honest, and I probably should at some point here. Now, also, since we're kind of doing Arena, one Arena tip is that if you're going to do Arena, probably the best way to do Arena is right when it resets. If you're on right when it resets and you play a whole bunch, you can climb fairly quickly into Platinum, get your high rank, whatever it is you want to do. You can take your screenshot, or you can just sit there, and it's a lot easier than it is at the last second. At the last second, you can actually straight up just not be able to win, even though if you could win all your battles and still not be able to get into Platinum, even if you're like 10 points off of Platinum, strictly because of how many other people are climbing. You have to climb faster than everyone else directly around you, where if you climb up early in Platinum first, then it's a lot easier. Then you just kind of sit there. So if you're trying to get into Platinum, you might want to try doing that. And then since you're already in there, just do as many battles as you can to maintain it. The only problem is if you do that, you're going to spend more gems in the long term because you have to, start it earlier. I'm not really a big Arena guy. For me, it takes up, just an absolute ton of time and gems, to be honest. I bought the mini mix pack, which gives you like 10 of them. And the best deal in terms of actual real life cash when it comes to like Arena tokens is sometimes they do this $15 one where they'll sell like 5 of them, and they'll have like, 10 or 15 of these refills, some gems and all that. It's like $15. It's a really good deal, man. That's like the best one. Every time it comes up, I think to myself, I should buy as many of those ones as I possibly can, but then I don't do it. See, here's a good example, right? So like you have a Hegemon. So a team like this could actually be quite scary, because what could happen is this Hegemon could go block the cooldowns on these guys. See how Arbiter got blocked, but she resisted, right? And now, because now he has the attack down defense. Hey, but because of that, that could be quite scary if everyone got the block quick. But imagine if you had fast deflection gear on everybody. It's just deflecting all of this back. I mean, you can see how it is disgusting. Right now, having the one set of Mountain King isn't really changing anything because I have Sifu Rodos Arbiter and all that. But being able to kind of see how it works, just getting a general eyeball in it, you can tell this stuff would be quite gross. So, and you know, I think it's that terrible with Rose. I mean, the stats on him aren't amazing, but he has close to 240% crit damage with the set. I got the gloves, which are fairly important. I do have flat stat boots, which is a huge bummer, and he doesn't have 100% crit rate, but I've only gotten platinum twice, and I managed to get you know, an okay set. Here we go. Keep moving on here. It's I mean, so far this is no problem. Here, this guy's got a Sifu too, but Sifu Rodos really carries you hard. And since we're talking about Arena, we can talk about this too. There's been a lot of talk in the content creator chat between the content creators about Sifu Rodos being completely busted. I own Sifu, so I completely disagree. I think she's completely balanced, and that if you nerf her, how am I supposed to get into platinum? All right, so I'm going to need you guys to not nerf her. That being said, yeah, Sifu Rodos is basically the way into, you know, the higher ranks. So there is other ways to do it with like better gear, but the problem is you have to have such atrociously high gear as compared to the person next to you to beat the person that has Sifu Rodos. It's quite a bummer. I can go second and still win sometimes. Like here, this is an interesting matchup here. Where it's Sifu Rodos with Chris, because this is a variant I might actually run. Now, I'm going first, which is nice, but I'm not going to run Madame or anything, just so we can kind of see the tanky aspect. And you can see how hilariously tanky you can get. Like, watch. So Chris doesn't even have his protection up yet, right? Let's go ahead and do the hard-hitting move through the shield. Just barely through the shield, 10,000 damage in addition, right? You slowly do our damage here, piece by piece. And once he gets the protection up, it is borderline impossible. Look, there's the protection, right? It's really hard. If you don't have Madame or something, so here's the ignore damage. Can we get crit? Look, 15,000 damage. I mean, this guy does damage. It's not like he doesn't do damage, you know? Here we go. Look how much health. Barely any, right? Let's do an attack. Didn't kill him. We got the extra turn, so now we can kill him, but you can see how good Krisk is. And I was talking earlier in a different video, or actually maybe it was an unpublished video, because I was going to publish my Platinum Arena run, but I did it early and then I had to do it later because I fell out too. It ended up being quite a terrible video. But what I realized in that video was that I think Krisk gets significantly better, and this seems like an obvious thing, but he gets significantly better as your gear gets better. And I mean, it's exponential. I feel like he's probably a 5 to 6 out of 10 character when you're brand new and barely have any gear because he's such a supportive guy. But then once you start getting these really insane sets on the other people to make your other people tanky, and then he has better gear to make him tanky too, and then you get the protection where neither one of them can die quickly, kind of like this, it can be really difficult. The problem is when you run Krisk, your damage output is delayed. Like you don't, you know, I got Mountain King in here that's giving me additional damage so I can push through the difficulty here, right? If I didn't have Mountain King, I wouldn't be able to blow through this damage because of how tanky they are, but they probably wouldn't be able to blow through my damage either. And if I had someone like Madame with high enough accuracy, it really counters it, which is why I think you need really high resistance when you're going to get into dealing with, you know, Krisk. Because if I was Krisk, I want not to have anything removed at all. And if I had Krisk, I'd probably just commit to going second always. Be like, you know what? I'm okay with always going second, but I'm gonna have such high resistance on everybody, or that deflection gear on everybody, to the point where it doesn't really do anything. You know, you can't get through my you know, absolutely ridiculous levels of resistance. You can't flip my continuous heal. You can't get rid of my protection and all that, and then they can't get through it. I think that's kind of the way out. The other, you know, this new deflection gear is interesting because as I'm watching it, I'm realizing it has to make through the resistance check. So if you have resistance gear, and then you also, on top of having resistance gear, it's a deflection set too. If the ones you don't resist, you have even more chance, you know, even more chance not to last it. It's what I'm getting at here is that this gear might be even better than I kind of thought it was. This is just a little bit of a test, but this gear might be kind of nuts. But I think it's going to be hard, really, really hard, to be able to utilize it properly, just because of those certain substats you're going to need. If you're wanting deflection set and you want to actually deflect, like if you're building a certain kind, you don't want to have high resistance, you want them to receive all the debuffs, you could do that. And then, you know, he has a chance of flipping everything. You're kind of putting yourself to RNG there, though. But then you would have to have gear that doesn't road resistance. Like I couldn't do that variant if I wanted, which is why this gear is kind of hard to use, because I don't actually have all the deflection gear I rode, all road resistance. Like it's really high resistance gear, which is why I'm testing this out on Mountain King with high resistance and all that. We'll see, well, this is the variant that I can try. So that's kind of the interesting thing I've noticed about this gear. Same thing with like the Swift Parry set. Like obviously you're going with crit damage gloves, stuff like that. And it is difficult. I would say difficult at best to get those gear rows. That's why even though I've been, messing around platinum, although admittedly not on like the top, few or whatever, I've just been kind of in the lower ranks. I think I finished 230 to give you an idea on this platinum run. I can see how the gear would definitely be probably meta once we get there. Once we get to the point where enough people have this is probably going to be meta gear, because it's like another thing you have to worry about. Now you have to play around deflections. Now you have to play around the fact that maybe they aren't going to die when I kill them. Do they have Swift Parry? And I kind of wish that you could look at the opponent's gear. Now that we're getting to the point where gear selecting is almost as much meta as character selecting, I feel like you should be able to click and hold and like see the other person's gear or speed or something like that. I feel like you're fighting a team sort of blind. You don't really know what you're going up against. I guess the counter argument for that is, well, if that's what you're going to do, then what that's going to open up the gates to is just sniping teams that are slower than you, the climb. And there's some truth to that, but the counter to that is, well, get better gear. Everything kind of does base around gear. And in every other game, Calibria, Crystal Guardian, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Marvel Strike Force, I don't know if in Summoner's War it's this way, but in most of the other gachas I have seen personally, you have a way of seeing what it is you're competing against. Now, that's just an idea. I'll leave it to people to decide whether or not they like that idea. It's not something I've suggested to Plarium or whatever, but just sitting here thinking out loud, it would be kind of nice. It might actually feel a little bit more competitive. I think the biggest issue I have at the moment is when you're doing arena, it doesn't really feel like there's a whole ton of thinking. I'm going to be honest. It's just you put in the right characters and you either go first and have good gear or you go second and have better gear, like that really seems to be kind of it. And it's like, do you have Sifi Rhodos? Yes, I do have Sifi Rhodos. Congratulations, your gear can be worse than most other people. Like I'm 322 speed, which is not very good speed. I was talking to Cartman the other day. He's 364. There's people pushing 370. And the debatable speed that you can get up to is like even higher, north of 400. You can get some pretty nuts speeds that could happen. And trying to get that speed's basically RNG. I've been buying some of the speed packs when they show up, like the $25 speed packs, to kind of take a little bit of a gander, I guess, in terms of the value and try. I've purchased a couple of them before, but I haven't purchased very much of them. The reason I did is I've spent about $500-600 lately on shards during the 2X and all that, going for Hegemon during the 2X and then Venus, or Hegemon during the 10X and Venus and all that during the 2X. I was trying to pro Mr. Coronavirus, this guy here and everything too, or Dave as hell Hades calls him, people like that. And I haven't pulled really anything. So I'm sitting here thinking like, at a minimum, if I buy speed packs, 1, they're cheaper. 2, 3 of the pieces are flat stack guaranteed, and all you have to do is row speed on them. It's double layer because you have to row speed on speed, but the RNG of actually rolling like top pieces of gear is less than that of the shards. And while I'm thinking of it, even though it's double layer RNGs, and the majority of the time, most content creators have recommended not buying the packs. I kind of looking back, I think not buying gear packs is something, and this is a well discussion. I'm talking well crack and people spending thousands of dollars. Free to play people don't follow this advice or anything, but the people that this is relevant to know it's relevant to them here. Is buying gear packs is something that's terrible. Only if you're consistently buying gear packs that are set bonus based, meaning things like let me think, like lifesteal stuff that the only reason you're trying to get it is just to get that original set bonus in the beginning, or to try to get a primary stat. Like if you don't have primary stats and you're just trying to get raw stats, that's a bad time to buy it. Like if you're just trying to get, I just need crit damage gloves, let me buy some, like that's a bad time to get. Normally what you're trying to do in these type of gear purchases is get value in terms of getting something that would otherwise be hard to farm. Like when I'm farming Dragon, trying to get speed gear over thousands and thousands of energy is actually few and far between. And after having done it, basically farming Dragon a year at this point, you start to realize that getting one piece of like 15 plus speed gear can take months. Like it can take literal months from Dragon. Not an exaggeration. I mean, it can, depending on how much energy you're dumping into it, to even get a piece of speed gear that could be an upgrade. Whereas you're spending $500 to $600 trying to pull one character and then not pulling him, $500 or $600 of the same price in speed gear would give you like $1,000 worth of value in terms of the characters you've already pulled. Like, basically think of it this way. I have a Sifi that took me, 15, 16 Gs to get, right? But then the gear I have on her is so bad that she's not competitive in terms of other people's Sifis. So the idea is like, well, you can farm Dragon for 1 billion years, get it, don't get it. You could do that plus buying gear and try to get to the point that other people that are way, way, way up there are and stop buying shards. There's some other ideas that have been thrown around. I was talking to, Manability today, and he was basically saying he buys all the speed gear packs too, and he says he has the fastest character in the game, which I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't actually seen, I don't know what speed this thing is, but he says he has the fastest character in the game, and what he's been doing is just farming straight up Dragon. Now, I think everyone in the game kind of straight up farms Dragon, so this conversation is probably very relevant. Everyone probably knows how painful it is when you're trying to get speed gear. I mean, if you've been farming Dragon for anywhere north of 3 months, I'll be impressed if you've managed to get yourself, let's say, more than like 1 or 2 pieces of speed gear that are like 20 plus. You have to realize I don't have a single piece of speed gear. This is true. I don't have a single piece of speed gear anywhere in my entire roster, speed or divine speed, purchased or farmed, that is a 20 speed base on the speed set. I don't even own one. I've spent $15,000 and farmed a lot, right? So, I mean, that's a lot, and I still don't have it. That's how bad the RNG can be. So, so the gear is really kind of what comes down to in Arena, I think. More or less, you can win with worse characters if you have better gear. And that's what I'm realizing as time goes on, as I'm seeing you're climbing through it. And I think gear is going to be something I end up working on. So that's kind of this video for the day, is going through, just talking about Arena, kind of doing some live commentary and just kind of thinking my thoughts of having played through Platinum Arena, on reset and all that. And what I personally suggest, if you're going to be going through Arena, is start early in the week. If you're trying to get to Platinum, stay as high as you can, lower ways than one, permanently. Like, it's a nonstop grind. Just keep grinding is the best way to do it. You can try doing it my way, which is the very last day. It's Sunday, like 2 hours before Panic, and just try to get in there. But it's only worked like 2 out of 3 times. I've tried it 3 times. It worked twice, and both times it worked, it was by like 1 or 2 battles. Like it was very close, and I could have very easily not got Platinum at all. So that's just a little bit of live commentary. I'm trying to do a little bit of a longer form video. People have been asking for longer form videos and some more just kind of unedited stuff. So here you go. Thank you very much for watching this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, because we're getting close to that 40,000 sub mark, where 5,000 subs off is the goal, and that's going to be pretty cool. So I appreciate that. Oh, let me know in the comments down below. Would you like to see vlogging content on the second channel starting this week, meaning motorcycle vlogging, outdoor adventures, me sitting in my computer, cleaning my house, everything. All right, just me living. All right, love you all, and I'll see you on the next video. Also, live at Reset.